Well, uh, good evening, everybody. I don't know what the hell is it. I always look quarter to 8 on Saturday night, and I just want to give a little storm update because you haven't been seeing this on the evening news. Um, there's still hundreds of thousands of people on the Jersey Shore and in Long Island and in parts of New York that are without power. Yesterday, there's a one of the barrier islands uh, in northern Jersey was the first time that they allowed the people that have property there to go out on the island. Now this is 2.5 weeks since these people's homes were damaged, and they were only allowed on the island with a police escort, and they were allowed to take one bag, like a not a bag. What do I want to say? Uh, One piece of luggage with them, and they were allowed 1 hour at their homes if they could find their homes. Now, this is ridiculous. This, they say they're doing it to prevent looting, you know, but they've allowed apparently if the last 18 or 20 days people been able to take boats onto the island and slip on and loot. Everybody they've tried to prevent anybody from going on at all, but you should never be prevented from going onto your own property. And I think that these people should have been able to, if they weren't, if the island was shut off from outside access, then they should have been able to rent boats themselves and go onto the island. There was one gentleman they showed on television that was walking around with a metal detector where his house used to be, looking for his safe. That is how destructive this storm surge was. And when you can't find your safe with a metal detector, well, when people go out there and they find dimes that are 6 inches under the ground, is something, something as drastically and dreadfully happened to your house and to the material you have in your house. And then there was a friend of mine, Mark was relating a story of how they're requiring permits to do anything. And in this one instance, a man went down to his own house. Now this isn't somebody else's. This isn't some construction guy going in and ripping the house apart. And what he wanted to do was simply take up to about 4 feet, and the water had almost been that high, and cut out the drywall and allow air to circulate in there, because these houses sooner or later are going to be condemned because of um, fungus and mold growing in that moisture that's there. Now the temperature has been real cool, so it's helped to suppress this, but it's not going to suppress it forever. And all he wanted to do was cut out the drywall and drag the drywall outside, and then with a generator use some fans to get some circulation in to prevent the mold. Well, the inspectors come by uh, and fined him $4,000 for starting this work without a permit. Now, the damn city is half washed away. Where the hell are these inspectors? I mean, where are they coming from? They're like fleas. You just can't ever get rid of them. Here's a man that wanted to take and work on his own house, and all he wanted to do was protect it against mold. He wasn't trying to get away with anything. And it was a friend of mine, a local neighbor, that something. He had a house in Avalon, New Jersey. That something floated in and knocked a couple of blocks loose, and literally knocked them out of the foundation. Now the house wasn't threatened, and nor was the foundation. But what he did was what what you normally do is you put a jack under the house there, and you replace the blocks, and then you allow that little section to settle. You only jack it up a half an inch to replace the blocks, put the blocks back in. And while he was attempting to start to do this, then an inspector come along and told him that he needed a permit, and the permits have gone through the roof. That people, that you think, here's the government, the chance for the government to help somebody, and what are they doing? They're out there gobbling up extra money. They're charging more for permits than they normally would. And in some instances, they are requiring that if local people don't get the jobs to fix the construction, then the permits are and the charges are going through the roof, so that some outside construction guys, and there are tens of thousands of unemployed construction people in South Jersey, that they will not be able to afford to go in and make these repairs, even though if they could underbid even if they underbid the local people. Now the government is doing what it can, almost in the worst possible situation, to complicate the situation, and in some cases make it nearly impossible to save your house. This is absolutely uh, ridiculous. A couple days ago, me and my friend Pablo took a ride through. Well, we went down to Atlantic City. We go down a couple times a year. I save my change up, and then when it reaches a certain amount, we we cash it in, and then I share it with Pablo, and we go down and and uh, and gamble, play the slots. Well, he had $50 coming from the reveal, a brand new casino in Atlantic City. So we decided to go down and put that in the slots too, because that cost him nothing. Well, anyway, to make it's not important, the part of the story, although we both ended up winning, which was nice. uh, but a great deal of the northern section of Atlantic City has no power. Now the hotels, because of their generators, are all up and running, and the street that the hotels are running on, you have, I don't know if you're familiar with Atlantic City, but you have the beach, you have the boardwalk, you have the casinos, and then you have the first street. And on that first street are all the casinos that aren't out on what they call out on the island. And then there's the Golden Nugget, Borgata, and Harris out on the island. Uh, so we went to the Riviera, and uh, going into town on one of the main streets, there was absolutely no electricity to all the townhouses on north of that street, and there were very little electric on the south side. But there wasn't electric to the stoplights. They were all flashing orange on one side and red on the other, and we that was the way it was all the way to the very block that the Revere and all these other hotels were located on, and they had this regular uh, uh, orange, red, and green lights working. So then coming out of there, of course, Pablo took a wrong turn, and we ended up in a section of Atlantic City where there were nothing but townhouses and townhouses and townhouses. Not a light on any of them. Not a street light on any of them. No lighting of any stop signs or stop lights or anything. It was nothing but like you were descending into some cavern or some cave or something. There was nothing, and absolutely nothing. And this, again, you don't see this. This isn't on television. And there are thousands and thousands of people that last Monday, as recently as last Monday, didn't have electric in Atlantic City, and I don't know that they have it today. So this storm is a much bigger catastrophe than the public is being told, and North Jersey's is horrendous. I mean, houses that now I don't know even the legality of some of this stuff. Houses were totally washed away, and not only the houses, but the land that they were on is totally washed away. Some places the island was split in two, and the ocean and the bay now is tide comes in and out of where there was nothing but land before. Now, how these people, what the riparian laws are, and how these people are ever even going to figure out you know, they won't be able to rebuild because in New Jersey the riparian laws are such that it's almost impossible to do any filling in any spot, you know, that there that involves water of any kind. And on top of that, it took them 10 days to shut the gas off, and the gas company didn't want to shut the gas off, even though the people the first responders that did go out on some of these islands said that they didn't smell anything but natural gas leaks. And it doesn't take much of a movement of your house around to get a natural gas leak. And every day, a couple of houses were ending up somehow, a spark of some kind would ignite them, and they'd go up in flames and burn to the ground because there was nobody there to shut the gas off or to fight the fire. And they would fly over these places with helicopters, and you'd see a gas line with 4-foot flame shooting out of it. And it was going on for days and days. Now the gas company finally shut it down under the orders of Governor Christie, and they shut it down. And their excuse was, and this is legitimate from the gas company, that well, a lot of the lines they can't even find, uh, but the main line to go in to shut it to the island is under tremendous pressure, and if they shut that down, then the line ends up full of water, and you have to redo that ruins the line. You have to redo the entire system, which for that island alone they estimate would be $100 million. So they felt it was probably cheaper to let a few houses burn down and be sued by those individuals because the gas was left on than it would be to relay pipe for the whole island. But even under the conditions with the gas still on, there were some lines they couldn't find, and I don't know. Uh, when you survey, I guess you'd have to go in with GPS and determine even if you have property to rebuild on, and then again they're going to need all new right of ways and all to put this gas in. Now many of these homes that were spared obviously have no gas, and the last couple of nights it's been in the 20s down here in New Jersey, and any standing water in any of those homes or any pipes with water in those homes could freeze, and you could end up with more damage than you already have. So uh, it doesn't seem that the government is bending over backwards for anything but the government. Christie's already announced that there's going to be higher property taxes there, and I can see that because these people all knew the situation they were in as far as the chance of a storm, the possibility of a storm coming, because I'm sure none of them could get a mortgage without getting flood insurance, and the flood insurance from comes through the federal government. But the other point is that FEMA, they're asking for uh, around $10 billion help from FEMA, and FEMA is already in the hole, and this is going to end up costing 40-50 billion dollars or maybe more. It's going to be, if not the costliest, one of the costliest storms in the history of this country. And FEMA, where are they going to get that money? Are the Republicans going to say yes, we'll give it up when New York and New Jersey have consistently voted Democratic? This is, there's so much politics involved already and corruption that uh, when you go down there and you're told that you can't, you're an outside construction guy and you can't come in here and bid on these properties, somebody's getting paid off. And when they come and fine a guy $4,000 for trying to save his house, uh, and they think that they're going to require you to buy which wasn't before but is now, a very expensive permit to do that job, then there's some corruption already taking place, and it sure isn't working on the side of the homeowner. But these are just a few little update stories that you won't see on the evening news. They'll still fly over and show the damage, but I don't think anyone has any concept of what these poor people are going through, and they've been well, 20 days now without electricity, without any heat, and in some instances, uh, they are uh, just now getting to see the damage to their homes and only allowed to go in there for an hour. Oh, one other point, that the places that where people do have access, they go in, they're allowed to go in, clean out their stuff, pull out their rugs, put their refrigerators and their stoves and their freezers and all this by the side of the road uh, for the city to pick up. And they're not allowing around New Jersey here. We have I could throw a 5 pound piece of iron, set it out by the road, and within 2 hours a junker would go by and pick it up and take it to and add it to whatever he's picked up that day and take it to the junkyard and sell it for scrap. Well, they are keeping scrappers from going on around these places and picking up the refrigerators and picking up the metal and picking up uh, old freezers and stoves and all that kind of stuff. And rather, they are hiring people to come in and do that. And who knows where all that stuff ends up, and who knows how those people got the contract to go in and do it, rather than you have the city paying the municipality paying people to come in and do that, where you could just let people come in and do it. You don't they're not ransacking your home. This is all crap that's parked by the side of the road waiting for the garbage people to pick up. So there's some obvious corruption going on there. But this is long from done, and these people with the gas problems won't have gas for maybe a year. Who knows? And who knows when anybody on the worst areas will be able to go in and actually assess the damage and then get started on fixing it. Well, thanks for your time, and wish those people all the speed.